I ain't drunk. I'm just drinking.
But you're so high.
Oh man, you know I ain't high.
But you're so high.
Yeah, well I just take a little sip every now and then.
But you're so high.
You ought to be ashamed of
Stay
yourself.
drunk all
Oh,
the
come
time.
on now, you all don't feel like that.
Bam! Hey kids, welcome back! Woohoo! Happy Thursday! It is Friday for me because my son, who is 24, is getting married this weekend, so I'm taking the day off tomorrow and prepping for that. So, yeah, that's that. This might be a video for beginners. I don't know, maybe not. This is a 4S lipo repair, just because I'm bored, and maybe you guys want to see it. First thing, I was flying one of my coveted Black Label, relatively brand new 4S batteries the other day, and had a bad crash. Totally fucked up the balance connector, and kind of squished the battery, but not squished it so bad. We'll do an inspection here, but I'm going to show you guys how to fix this real quick. Now, one thing I do recommend you do is do this on a storage charge, because if it does blow up, it's not going to blow up as bad. He's scared, yep. Let's see. 16.4. Yep, that's pretty much fully charged. So, I'm JJ RotoGeek. No fear. So, here we go. We're going to go ahead and cut this off. So, basically, how this works is if you cut into one of these cells with a full charge, it's going to go boom and blow up in your face. So wear safety glasses and stuff like that, unless you've been drinking. So we're just going to be careful, and we'll make it work. So this is a relatively brand new battery. If this was a trashy battery, I probably wouldn't be going through this. And I did crunch it. To me, that's not that bad. But look at that. Broken wires in there. Oh, yeah. That's fucking nasty. Alright, so one of the things we're going to need is a 4S balance lead, obviously. And just a footnote real quick. Somebody mentioned the other day that I don't use my coaster. My awesome LED Patriot Blades coaster. And no, I don't, really. Because it's just too cool. I just like it to be on. Okay, so anyway, let's see what we got. Sometimes you're lucky and you can find an end to this tape that they put on. There it is. Now, this is a fully charged lipo, so the reason I say do it on a storage charge, like I said before, if it blows up, it's just going to spark and spot whatever if it's on a storage charge. I've done it before. If it is fully charged like this one and you fuck up, bad things will happen. So there we go. There's the problem. Yeah, she got fucked up pretty good. It's very, very simple to do this. And I really don't think you should be, you know, people are always like, and lipos are dangerous, don't get me wrong. You shouldn't be overly stupid with them. But don't be afraid of them either. So, let's get our trusty hobby vise out. So it's like, well, you know what? It's already bad. Fuck it. Put it in a vise, right? Oh, gosh. All right. One of the things I recommend you do, and don't clamp it down. We're just doing this to hold it, okay? Okay. One of the things I do recommend that you do is, first off, these little spacers. This is a nice, nicely made battery. This is the first time I've cut one of these open. Put your soldering iron on a, hang on. Put your soldering iron on a relatively high heat, because it's going to take some power to melt this back in, or to get the solder going where you want it to go. Hang on a second. I'm plugging in a hot glue gun, and I will show you why momentarily. I take one little extra step. Alright, that's good. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to untangle our mess. Woohoo! Alright, so we're going to desolder. Now, one of the things, the biggest mistake people make with fixing batteries is they tend to cross the terminals with their soldering iron. That would be bad. Try not to do that. Okay. I'm actually going to take these out for now. And we're just going to desolder And try not to cross your soldering iron against any other poles. Otherwise a spark will happen, and that's not fun. Well, can be, I guess. Alright, that one's not coming out. I'll show you a trick for that in a second. Use the side. Wow, some pretty hot stuff. So, if you are having a problem like I am, and you cannot get the solder off, where is our solder? Our solder melted down. Where'd it go? Shit the bed. I can't find it. I need to have hire Blackhawk to come over here and clean up my fucking mess. Alright, let me find my solder. Be right back. Alright, I found it. Sorry about that. So here's our solder. One thing you can do, if you're having a problem with factory solder melting, usually it's because it's a different alloy. So if you add some of your solder to it, it will help displace the heat and come right off. Okay, so now we're going to do this guy. Now, something else to consider. You guys see that the lipos themselves are metal on the, it looks like a tinfoil type of construction. That tinfoil type of construction is non-conductive. Okay, there we go. Everybody's copacetic. So now what we're going to do is we are still, even though we got the wires off, we're going to add some of our own solder to the leads. Okay? That is going to make your life a lot easier in the end. Okay? Now, 4S, and I've done videos on lipos before. No big deal. They are basically, in this case, this is a 4S. It's a 4S lipo that is wired in series, right? So what you want to do, it's very, very simple. Now these leads, I don't like these balance connectors I have. They're not the good silicon wire. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down because I don't want this being this long. That's just obnoxious, right? So I'm going to cut this down to like here. Not but a peanut. We'll go ahead and cut it. Okay. So, and then we're going to go ahead and strip all the ends. Now, if this was just silicon wire, you could do it with your thumbnail, but this is that hard plastic shit. Because every time I go to order the good 4S leads, they're out of stock. Because they're in high demand, apparently. But, you know what? Fuck it. Good enough. Okay. And then what we're going to do, take you out. Just so you guys can see. We are going to tin this up real quick. Takes 2 seconds. Hold your soldering iron behind the wire, cross the solder over. Now, I know you probably can't see this, but you all know how to tin probably. Alright, so there we go. That one is done. So all you've got to do then is pretty much just do them in order from ground over, because you've got basically one ground and then the positives laying over. So if there's ever any doubt, take a, hang on. Take a lipo that you trust, that you know is good. In this case, it's backwards. All right. Bam, like that. And what we're going to do is make sure that your negative is going in the right spot, okay? So in this case, it is the far right if the barbs are up, okay? For those of you that don't already know. So that's fine. Just always make sure, even if the wire's black, make sure that they're not lying to you. I have run into that before where they'll do all red. And then you want to solder it in the direction you're going. So there you go. And what you're going to do is the very next cell, so you got a cell here, a cell here, a cell here, a cell here. Then you're just going to go in order. It's very, very simple to do. Now, you can cut these down to make them nice and neat, which I suppose we will. So let's cut that down to there. We'll make this one a a little bit nicer. Okay. Usually I don't, because you know what? It's a fucking battery. It's not a beauty contest. But for the sake of argument, and people are like, oh, you should have done it this way. Now, what I do is I hold these wires back in my other fingers so they don't accidentally touch any other terminals. Oops, that's shitty. You do not have to get this wicked hot. You just need it to adhere. Okay. Hold them back with the other fingers, because if it's metal, it can short. Good enough. The next one's going to need trimmed as well. To, we'll say there. This is very simple to do. As long as you're careful and you're not, you know, just kind of winging it. Make sure you're doing what you're doing. This is a fully charged battery, which, like I said before, I don't necessarily recommend doing. But, you know, I'm not afraid of a little lipo popping. So, there we go. And then we're going to put this one on the master. Not but a peanut. Look at that. So, ground, and then just follow suit. Very, very simple to do. Then a wire, 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 wire. And that is your series connections. Okay, does that make sense? So, then what we're going to do, I don't even know if I'm going to put those little spacers back in. I can't, there it is. I suppose we could. These are really well-made batteries. Like I said, this is the first time I've cut one of these down. So then what I do is I take a little bit of hot glue. And again, be careful, because hot glue can also, the nozzle of your hot glue gun can short things out. So be careful. All right? Demi, I'm talking to you. My buddy in the UK, who's in the club, Patriot Blades, he had one of these explode on his lap. It's like, dumbass. It's like that's the only action your dick could get was a lipo blowing up on your... Anyway, sorry. I love you, buddy. Love you. So we're just getting a little heat in there. All right, we're done with that. So there we go. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use my heat shrink. So let me go cut a slab of that off. I bought a bunch of this stuff off of Amazon. This huge roll for 30 bucks. And I've given 10 feet at a time to friends and stuff like that. And it's like a lifetime fucking supply. It's stupid. Okay. So make sure our hot glue is good. I'm going to give it a little bit of a twist because that's just how I roll. Now, one of the things that I do recommend you do, let me grab my battery tester. Hang on. If you don't have one of these, put one of these in your flight bag. I'll put a link to in the description of where you can get this. It's like, I don't know, it's very, very cheap, very, very useful, especially out in the field. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to plug this in. All right, should say 4S up at the top. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. But yeah, we're getting 90%, 16.43. If it says 3S or something like that, you fucked up. Go do it again. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, just out of experience, I kind of know how long to make these. So we're going to cut this down. I'll put a link in the description of this stuff too. This is just heat shrink tubing, 55 mil, something like that. Now the other thing we're going to do, oh, I got to order more of this shit. Captain tape. I do, in this process, I do grab a little bit of extra weight because I hot glue it, I tape it. I make these things reasonably blow-up proof. You don't have to do this step. I used to do this with just good old-fashioned electrical tape. But electrical tape weighs a lot more, and that's why I don't use it. That's why I use Captain tape. I'll put a link in the description for that as well. And that'll remind me to buy more. So let me plug in my heat gun real quick. Bam, be right back. All right, we plugged in the heat gun. So, and I'm using a real heat gun. like stripping paint heat gun, right? This is mega, mega hot. And you can blow up your battery with one of these heat guns. So please, if you use a heat gun, be very careful. You can use my trusty heat shrink heat gun, but it takes a lot longer. So what we're gonna do, that's all taped up, hot glued, everything's functional. And like I said, guys, test this before you do this step, because you want to make sure your wiring's right before you heat shrink this back up. Okay, we're going to set this in there about like that. And what we're going to do, let this heat up a little bit. Get so it just stays. And the trick is keeping it rotating. This is a fully charged battery. You do not want to put 1500 degrees Fahrenheit on this thing in one spot for too long. And you can use a lighter too. I mean, it's all in how much time you want to spend. And I'm lazy. I don't like spending a ton of time fixing a fucking battery, right? Get the ends. Now, make sure you get the bottom really good. Then after that, push it down on something like Yoda's head. Bam. And you get, I mean, you can do a better job than that. I don't care. It's a fucking battery, right? Like I said, it's not a beauty contest, but there you go. I could have done a better job on that, but that's all right. It is hot, but it's just the outside that's hot. Very, very good. So let's just double check, make sure everything's copacetic on our power. 1643 4S. Bam. There you go. That is how you swap out a bounce lead. Please don't do this on a fully charged battery like I just did, but Roto Twisters, y'all know how it works. So anyway, till next time, kids. Bam. Keep shiny side up. Bye.
Bam, JJ! Hope you like fishing. Bam, JJ! Hey, JJ! Hope you like fishing.